This is Secret Saturday Florida Marquee Patreon channel. If you are here, you are at the $1 level. That is, of course, the TRADOC symbol on your screen. It stands for Training and Doctrine. That's a patch that at some point just about every soldier has on his shoulder because the training never stops. Now, for the sake of my voice at the moment, what we're going to do today is go through the president's address and pick out the different cognitive biases and psychological operations that are built into this statement, whether it was done so purposefully or whether it was just done so out of sheer ignorance. I'm not going to get into that. That would be ascribing motive. But when we look at the overall desire of this administration, I think some of these things will be pretty apparent. So without any further delay.
It was a beautiful ceremony and a moving reminder of our nation's proud history of welcoming legal immigrants from all over the world into our national family. I told them that the beauty and majesty of citizenship is that it draws no distinctions of
Literally, the idea of citizenship is to be distinct amongst those who are not. To say that it's like saying we don't discriminate when we choose. Literally, the definition of choosing is discriminating. Discriminating is choosing.
Race or class or faith or gender or background. All Americans, whether first generation or 10th generation, are bound together in love and loyalty, friendship and affection. We are all equal. We are one team and one people, proudly saluting one great American flag. We believe in a safe and lawful system of immigration, one that upholds our laws, our traditions, and our most cherished values. Unfortunately, our immigration system has been badly broken for a very long time. Over the decades, many presidents and many lawmakers have come and gone, and no real progress has been made on immigration.
So let's just stop right there. When did America stop being great because of this? Because, of course, he ran on the idea, let's make America great again. This being the hallmark piece of legislation. Which administration specifically should have built a wall that didn't? Or should there have always been a wall? And it was something the Founding Fathers forgot about. Didn't think about. How can you make the allegation that at any point in the past, the country was great, and that we should go back to that when you're saying now that there has been this giant problem unaddressed by anyone but you?
We are now living with the consequences, and they are tragic, brought about by decades of political stalemate, partisan gridlock, and national neglect. There is a humanitarian and security crisis on our southern border that requires urgent action. Thousands of children are being exploited by ruthless coyotes and vicious cartels and gangs.
Appeal to emotion. He did this in the last address he did, the 10-minute one, where he led with, we're doing this actually for the illegal immigrants. It's for their protection. He mentions here in a few minutes that, yeah, we're doing it for the American people too, but mostly we're doing it for the children and the women, the illegal immigrants, that we are on their side.
1 in 3 women is sexually assaulted on the dangerous journey north. In fact, many loving mothers give their young daughters birth control pills for the long journey up to the United States because they know they may be raped or sexually accosted or assaulted. Nearly 50 migrants a day are being referred for urgent medical care. Vast quantities of lethal narcotics are flooding through our border and into our communities, including meth, cocaine, heroin, and fentanyl. Drugs kill 78,000 Americans a year and cost our society in excess of $700 billion. Heroin alone kills 300 Americans a week, 90% of which comes across our southern border. We can...
Yeah, right through the gates and through the crossings that'll be there, not through the open parts.
Stop heroin. Illegal immigration reduces wages and strains public services. The lack of border control provides a gateway, a very wide and open gateway, for criminals and gang members to enter the United States, including the criminal aliens who murdered a brave California police officer only a day after Christmas.
Appeal to emotion. Again.
I've gotten to know and love angel moms, dads, and family who lost loved ones to people illegally in our country. I want this to end. It's got to end now. These are not talking points. These are the heartbreaking realities that are hurting innocent, precious human beings every single day on both sides of the border. As a candidate for president, I promised I would fix this crisis, and I intend to keep that promise one way or the other. Our immigration system should be the subject of pride, not a source of shame, as it is all over the world.
Speaking for the rest of the world now.
Our immigration system should be the envy of the world, not a symbol of disunity and dysfunction. The good news is these problems can all be solved, but only if we have the political courage to do what is just and what is right.
There was no disunity about this until you became a candidate. There was no wrangling and hand-wringing over this and stoppages of government because of this. I doubt anyone could make any kind of an allegation anything going on at the border has caused a 30-day shutdown. But your quote-unquote solution has caused far more harm so far than it has done good.
Both sides in Washington must simply come together, listen to each other, put down their armor, build trust, reach across the aisle, and find solutions. It is time to reclaim our future from the extreme voices who fear compromise and demand open borders, which means drugs pouring in, human trafficking, and a lot of crime. That is why I am here today to break the logjam and provide Congress with a path forward to end the government shutdown and solve the crisis on the southern border. If we are successful in this effort, we will then have the best chance in a very long time at real bipartisan immigration reform. And it won't stop here. It will keep going until we do it all. The proposal I will outline today is based on, first and foremost, on input from our border agents and Homeland Security professionals, and professionals they are. They know what they're doing. It is a compassionate response to the ongoing tragedy on our southern border.
Translation, I'm going to put this forward, and if it goes south, I can lay it on the professionals. Meaning it's their proposal, not mine.
In recent weeks, we have met with large numbers of Democrat lawmakers to hear their ideas and suggestions. By incorporating the priorities of rank-and-file Democrats in our plan, we hope they will offer their enthusiastic support, and I think many will. This is a common-sense compromise both parties should embrace. The radical left can never control our borders. I will never let it happen. Walls are not immoral. In fact,
it's not in his power. If the radical left would get elected into office, they would control the border. To say, I will never let it... It's rantings of a dictator.
They are the opposite of immoral because they will save many lives and stop drugs from pouring into our country. Our plan includes...
Okay, does anybody ever bother to ask, okay, yeah, the drugs get here. Nobody's forcing anybody to take them.
It's the following. $800 million in urgent humanitarian assistance. $805 million for drug detection technology to help secure our ports of entry. An additional 2,750 border agents and law enforcement professionals. 75 new immigration judge teams to reduce the court backlog of, believe it or not, almost 900,000 cases. However, the whole concept of having lengthy trials for anyone who sets one foot in our country unlawfully must be changed by Congress. It is unsustainable. It is ridiculous. Few places in the world would even consider such an impossible nightmare. Our plan includes critical measures to protect migrant children from exploitation and abuse. This includes a new system to allow Central American minors to apply for asylum in their home countries and reform to promote family reunification for unaccompanied children, thousands of whom wind up on our border doorstep. To physically secure our border, the plan includes $5.7 billion for a strategic deployment of physical barriers, or a wall. This is not a 2,000-mile concrete structure from sea to sea. These are steel barriers in high-priority locations. Much of the border is already protected by natural barriers such as mountains and water. We already have many miles of barrier, including 115 miles that we are currently building or under contract. It will be done quickly. Our request will add another 230 miles this year in the areas our border agents most urgently need. It will have an unbelievable impact. If we build a powerful and fully designed see-through steel barrier on our southern border, the crime rate and drug problem in our country would be quickly and greatly reduced.
Okay, two relative terms, quickly and greatly. And the statistics do not bear that out. That most crime is not committed by those here illegally. Most crime is committed by people who are citizens.
Some say it could be cut in half because these criminals, drug smugglers, gangs, and traffickers do not stop at our border. They permeate throughout our country, and they end up in some places where you'd least expect them. They go all over our country. A steel barrier will help us stop illegal immigration while safely directing commerce to our lawful ports of entry. Many of these security ideas have been proposed by Democrats themselves.
Okay, so that gives them credit. You see, he's forgetting who his base is because he's trying to be everything to all people. Is that what his base would want to hear? These ideas that I'm putting forth have been put forth for years by the people we have told you to hate during election cycles?
And all of them have been supported by Democrats in the past, including a physical barrier wall or fence. Furthermore, in order to build the trust and goodwill necessary to begin real immigration reform, there are two more elements to my plan. Number one is 3 years of legislative relief for 700,000 DACA recipients brought here unlawfully by their parents at a young age many years ago. This extension will give them access to work permits, social security numbers, and protection from deportation, most importantly. Secondly, our proposal provides a 3-year extension of temporary protected status, or TPS. This means that 300,000 immigrants whose protected status is facing expiration will now have 3 more years of certainty so that Congress can work on a larger immigration deal.
If the issue is, as his supporters make it out to be, that it's not about the women and the children and the jobs, it's about military-age man invasion and WMD attacks. Does he even read the websites of the people that support him? He's literally losing his mind here.
Everybody wants Republicans and Democrats. And our farmers and vineyards won't be affected because lawful and regulated entry into our country will be easy and consistent. That is our plan. Border security, DACA, TPS, and many other things. Straightforward, fair, reasonable, and common sense with lots of compromise. Senate Majority Leader Mitch McConnell has pledged to bring this bill to a vote this week in the United States Senate. Our proposal is not intended to solve all of our immigration challenges. This plan solves the immediate crisis, and it is a horrible crisis. It is a humanitarian crisis like we rarely see in our country. And it provides humanitarian relief, delivers real border security, and immediately reopens our federal government. If we are successful in this effort, then we can start the border project of remaking our immigration system for the 21st century. Once the government is open and we have made a down payment on border security and immigration reform starts to happen, I plan to convene weekly bipartisan meetings at the White House so we can do a finished product, a great product, a product that we can all be proud of.
So he needs to get the shutdown off of his plate so that he can move on to other agenda items. You see, he talks about this on the campaign trail. The whole wall, the wall that was impenetrable, the $25 billion monstrosity. Look how far 2 years has gotten him. 200 independent sections, 200 miles of independent sections on a 2,000-mile border. And it's not about protecting Americans, per se. It's about protecting the migrants, the women, and the children. And it's what makes it a good idea is that Democrats have agreed with it. Those are the three big things we're taking away from this. If you don't see this by now, there's got to be some people out there in shell shock, including Rush Limbaugh.
Having to do with that elusive immigration problem. Whatever we do, I can promise you this. I will never forget that my first duty and ultimate loyalty is to you, the American people. Any reforms we make to our immigration system will be designed to improve your lives, make your community safer, and make our nation more prosperous and secure for generations to come. Thank you, and God bless America.
Not one word about military-age men, invasions, the need for military on the border to do anything other than logistics. It's striking. It's very striking to see the change. How far? And this is only 2 years in. Wait till 5 years in, if he wins the next time. How far to the left this guy's going to go. Or to the middle. Either however you look at it. But anyway, we will leave that there, but all sorts of cognitive biases and assumptions that this will fix that. I mean, part of me wonders, is he going to be around the day after all of his demands are met when they report 2 years or a year and a half later that some illegal immigrant killed somebody after he got everything he wanted? Of course, I very much doubt Fox will be running that stuff if that happens. Ironically, you'll see it on CNN because they'll be able to say, see, it didn't work. So anyway, we will leave that there. I'll let you guys talk about that in the comments. Like, share, subscribe.